Chapter 33. One of Bill's follies was the movie Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. He thought that film was the next step for us. The Beatles had A Hard Day's Night and Help, and we should have our film. He sold it to us as A Hard Day's Night meets Star Wars, which had come out the year before. It would have lots of cool special effects. Nobody in the band had the slightest clue about acting. None of us read the script. We didn't care. We trusted Bill's judgment. When we started filming, it didn't take an expert in the field to know we were in deep shit and there was no getting out of it. The director asked us after each scene whether we thought it was good. We had no idea what we were doing. For us, a good take was one where we didn't blow our lines. If we said the right words, we moved on to the next shot. Someone off camera fed us our lines. When we got ready to roll the camera, I yelled, "Line!" and someone said something like, "Gee, Ace, it's time we get going." Then I said, "Gee, Ace, it's time we get going." That's a keeper. It was horrific. It didn't remotely resemble acting. In one scene, we levitated a box using wires. We assumed the wires would be rendered invisible by special effects people. Not so. Meanwhile, the four of us weren't speaking unless we were delivering lines. Peter and Ace frequently left during filming. In one scene, we had to use Ace's stunt double, who happened to be black, after Ace left without notice. It was clear as day in the final version that it wasn't Ace. We had to play a fake concert at Magic Mountain Amusement Park for another scene. When we were on stage, I turned around and saw some random old man in cat makeup and a wig playing the drums and chewing gum. Peter had taken off and they threw this guy up there. One bright spot about the production was that we had the Westmores doing makeup for us. They were the first family of Hollywood makeup. George, the patriarch, had set up the first makeup department for a Hollywood studio in 1917, and subsequent generations became legendary for makeup and effects work. Over the years, I had learned the steps and intricacies of applying the makeup to my face, and one of the Westmore sons watched as I did my own makeup one day on the set of the movie. "How'd you learn to do that?" he asked. "I taught myself," I said. "It was just trial and error." "Well, that's exactly the way we would do it," he said. "Cool." When the movie was finished, we saw it at a screening at the Screen Actors Guild Theater on Sunset Boulevard. If you thought it was bad on a TV screen, you should have seen it on the big screen. People openly laughed. I slunk down in my seat. It was humiliating. The finished film was absolutely awful, and to have to stand when the lights came up while various people who had been involved with it came over to lie to me about how great it was made it that much more humiliating. Around the time of that concert at Magic Mountain, Ace had first announced he wanted to leave the band. We held a band meeting on the lot where we were shooting the movie. In response, Bill and Neil had almost immediately hit on an idea to hold us together. "You don't have to leave the band," Bill said. "We'll do solo albums." That turned out to be our next folly. Neil said we would release them all on the same day. He envisioned shipping 1 million of each solo album. Bill had the idea to maintain some cohesiveness by having one artist do all 4 covers, and he suggested dedicating each album to the other guys in the band, to keep up the mythology. Despite the dedications, we wished each other anything but good luck. So, after wrapping up Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, we each went off to make an album with no knowledge of what the others were doing. I had a lot of fun, actually. I didn't want to stray far from what Kiss did, but it was great to be able to work with no tensions, no egos, and surrounded by talent. I started cutting demos at Electric Lady in New York, then went back out to LA to re-record them. After we cut a few of the songs, I realized they just didn't sound right. The demos might not have been perfect or the most fidelic, but they captured what I was looking for, so I decided to keep them and finish them. I liked the spontaneity and rawness. Then I cut another 4 or 5 new songs in LA. I had a band in New York and another one in Los Angeles. The only person who was in both was Bob Kulick. As for the songs, Hold Me, Touch Me was about Georgianne. I had flown off to see her frequently during downtime, and the song came from being away from her and hoping she was thinking of me when we weren't together. Most of the songs, however, were about Carol Kay, a stunner in Bill Aucoin's publicity department, whom I was seeing at the time and was crazy about. She was funny and smart and loved music, and the heat we generated at times could peel paint. Carol was romantically involved with someone else too, and I had been trying my damnedest to get her to stop seeing him. I basked in the drama of that classic love triangle, but I was desperate to pull her away from him. Tonight You Belong to Me and Wouldn't You Like to Know Me are about her. Tonight remained one of my favorite songs because of that tear-your-heart-out passion and pain that I knew so well. Funny, though, because the night Carol finally said, "Okay, I'll stop seeing him," it was as if somebody had turned a hose onto the bed where we were lying. I was suddenly drenched in sweat. I had a full-on panic attack. I searched for the right words, mumbling, trying to backpedal my way out, and come up with a plausible explanation for why I suddenly looked like I'd just gotten out of the shower. The truth was that so much of my life was about chasing approval, chasing acknowledgement, and chasing love, that when confronted with the chance to actually get approval, acknowledgement, and love, I was stunned. The reaction surprised me because in my mind I really thought being with her was the answer. But it was safer to just chase things. I wasn't equipped for the real thing.